All right, back on the 04 Avalanche today. It's kind of bright out here. I'm not really sure what I'm even looking at. But anyway, what I've got besides the stupid check engine light, and I know what that is. It's a small evap leak, it says. I'm going to have to kind of hunt that down. But anyway, what I got a problem with is I have replaced a bunch of stuff on the four-wheel drive stuff. And I do not have four-wheel drive. I had trouble with the transfer case when I bought it. I really didn't put a lot of videos out on the transfer case. I actually rebuilt it. It failed. I don't know what I did wrong. I just didn't have time with it. I found a used one that was low mileage and put it in. And that seemed to have, it took away the whine and problems that I was having. The chain was bad and stuff. But I also broke the front axle in half, which I have not put a video out on that yet. It may be out by the time you see this, I don't know. But either way, I broke the front axle with a jack mishap. I wasn't jacking it up by the front axle. I was taking off some stands when I put the transfer case in it, and it fell. I had boards on it. It was wet. The jack quit rolling when it hit a rock, and the back was still on stands. It was up really high. I heard the board start cracking, and I tried to drop it as fast as I could. A jack made contact with the tube, actually with the center section. The center section's on rubber. One side of the tube is not. It's actually solid mounted, and so something gave, and it was the housing. So I was actually able to buy a front end, which I paid way too much for, and I ended up just taking the tube off the one inside of the used transfer front axle, and then put it on this one, leaving the center section alone. That in itself fixed my problem one way, but then my four-wheel drive didn't work. But because I did it around the same, because I couldn't drive it, after I put the transfer case in, I broke the front axle, so I was not able to drive it. So I tried putting it in four-wheel drive, and it failed. So I replaced this switch, this one here. It did not make any difference. There's a couple of 3 ground wires are underneath the floorboard on the driver's side. They say that those get corroded and could cause problems. So I took that loose, cleaned everything up, and put them all back together. Still nothing. So then everybody was saying this module, this thing is kind of expensive. It's up underneath the dash. There's a few videos on it out there. That's why I did not do a video on it. It's kind of hard to see and get to. Anyway, that one actually came out of this vehicle. The one that's in it came out of the Tahoe. Look, I don't know what I didn't even know what it was. But when I stripped that 03 Tahoe about 3 or 4 years ago, I kept all the electronic stuff that came off of it. And that happened to be one of them. I remember seeing it in a box. So I came and got it, put it in, still didn't make a difference. So I bought a new actuator for the transfer case. I have not put that in yet, but because after doing a little bit more research, I have come to the conclusion it was actually that front engager that's bad, because what I found is I have low range, I just don't have four-wheel drive. So to show you what I'm talking about, this is what's wrong with it. Now, let me put it in reverse first. Back up a little bit. There's a couple other things I need to fix today. Okay, number one is, as you'll see, when I take off up the driveway, giving it 1,000 RPM gas, you see how fast it's going up at 10 mile an hour. All right, so let me back up again. And this is how I'm proving to you that I have the low range. Back up where I was. Got a neutral. I put it in for low. Bam, you hear it? They always do that. Did you see it's flashing? Yeah, you can see it. It's flashing, but it's not going in. It's just flashing, and the next thing you know, you get a service four-wheel drive. Well, I know it's in low range because now when I go to 10 mile an hour at 1,000 RPM, okay, so I have low range, as you can tell, but I do not have four-wheel drive because it says service four-wheel drive. I'll put it back in two-wheel drive. I just push the button again. You'll hear it bang. It goes back in. Now it's back in two-wheel drive. The service four-wheel drive light did not go away, and it won't unless I personally get rid of it. So I'm going to pull in the garage here in a minute, which is not open. It's hard to get around this Cadillac because I'm an idiot. You know what? I'm going to have to redo this. Anyway, I'm going to get off here real quick, and I'll be back in a minute, and then I'll edit this to where, it's all kind of one video. But anyway, you can see, though, I do have problems. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix it in a minute. Okay, back real quick. I wanted to give you an idea of something else that's wrong with it, and that is this noise. That's squalling noise. I have replaced the belt, I've replaced the alternator. I'm not sure where that sound is coming from. Let me get out of this thing. The furnace was on too, it just shut off, so you probably couldn't hear it very well. But either way, I've got an idler bad, or I've got a, oh, now I can't get the hood open, come on. I've either got an idler bad, or that new alternator's bad. The problem with these, as you know, is being drive-by-wire. There's no way I can rev the motor up and try to find the sound on my own, and it's just recently started to do it while it's idling. It was doing it only when you were driving, and when you came down to an idle it would quit. But and it's kind of sporadic, it doesn't do it all the time, but today it's done it pretty much the whole day. So I'm going to have to fix that. I cannot stand squeaks, especially stuff like that when it's so easy to fix. So I've either got a bad idler, I've got two idlers on here. You have one that doesn't move and then one that's part of your slack adjuster, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think those are composite. But it doesn't matter, they both have bearings in them. And it could still be that alternator. I'll stick a screwdriver on it here in a minute and try to listen for it. But anyway, getting back to the four-wheel drive situation, here's the housing I broke. The rest of it's somewhere. And here's the part I took out of this one, because I know this worked before. This actually threads in to here, and then your wire connector hooks to it. This is actually what engages the front axle into the four-wheel drive position. This thing actually, as this thing engages, this thing slides out and pushes pressure on, well, there's another gear that slides on here, and it actually pushes that out and locks the front axles to the center section. Because the center section spins all the time, because you got a drive shaft going to it all the time. So it actually spins free. You know, the center section is always spinning. Your ring and pinion always, if the vehicle's moving, the ring and pinion's moving. But this engager slides over both, I believe, both sides of the axle. I think it's on this one, even though it's spinning, because the tire's spinning. So this thing continues to spin, you know, all the time. You can see the axle's turning too. So this thing rides on this all the time. And then, actually, I don't know why I didn't pick it up. I'm going to cover my hands with grease. I dropped it on the floor over here, and I think I'm probably missing 2 or 3 other pieces. They're over at the shop, because you got to remember part of the housing is missing because it's still bolted to the front axle that's over there. Anyway, this thing, I think it sits on there this direction. This will make a difference. This thing, which of course it's not wanting to go on there now. Okay, it sits on there like this. This thing actually hooks to a fork. Sorry, not doing very good camera work here. This thing sits on a fork here, and then there's a, I don't remember if the spring is on this thing. I don't remember now. But anyway, when you engage that, this plunger comes out, it hits that, it's riding on that, that fork actually sits on there, and it actually then pushes this out and locks this, not by much, but it locks this from one of those, you know, from this side to the one that's always turning. So when it goes out there, then it locks these two axles together, and that's what engages your four-wheel drive. It's actually a pretty cool deal. The problem is it's not strong. You don't want to put a 10-inch lift and 44-inch tires or whatever it is you're going to do, and then go out there and try to, you know, put it in low lock and with a, you know, with a supercharged 6-liter and expect this front axle to hold together very long. You'll break it, because it's just aluminum, pot metal. Just the housing itself can't take a hit, obviously, because it's not much of one, because it didn't hit this very hard. But it doesn't matter. What I'm doing is I pulled this out because I know it works. It probably is only going to take me 5 minutes to replace it. It actually just threads. I've got a pair of channel locks that go on that. Once you pull the wire harness out, the thing just unscrews and screws right back in. So I'll check back with you when I'm done with that. Alright, I wasn't going to show you this, but I don't know if I can do this one-handed or not, but I'm going to show you this. I'll try to not push any buttons on this camera. Okay, here's your, I don't remember where that is. Probably right there where I can't get a hold of it. I know it's up in there where I can barely get to it. I'm trying to release the harness. It's not letting me do it. So That's standard thread, so, and yes, I've got the channel locks on it backwards. I don't know if you can see that, because I don't know if I can get it on it the other way. I'm just turning it enough I can get the wire off of it. So no, I have not forgot about getting the wire off. Let's see if I can get to that wire now. Wow, nope. The reason I'm have to do it backwards is because I got cross member. My hand's actually resting on it to hold the camera. I'm trying not to put any pressure on that. I'm trying, I promise. Come on, come on, come on. Good night. Well, of course, it's going to be in the mess, you know. If you think about it, it's going to go through water and ice and snow and debris because it's in the front. There is a cover that goes over this, and I don't have either one of the covers. It's a plastic one that goes up here, then there's an aluminum one, part of the Z71 package. Let me hit the camera with a tool. And I don't have them on because I was trying to get the four-wheel drive fixed. As soon as I get this done, I'll put everything back on it. Now, anyway, let me unscrew this. I'm going to set you down. Can't do it with one hand and a pair of pliers this size. Sorry about that. Come on. This is why I need a lift. I can put you on a tripod and face you up where you can see what I'm doing. This is why I don't do a lot of these how-tos, is because I can't hold the camera and do this stuff at the same time. It just won't let me do it. And so now this may be under some pressure because there may be a spring behind that, because I can't remember. I know there was a spring. I just remember where it was located at. I knocked my light over. Ow, my finger got hung. Yeah. Pick you back up here. Only got loose enough to spin by hand. Nothing fell out. Now mind you, I did not take the one, I left this side of the tube. I did have to replace the axle, and the way it actually engaged, the gears and stuff were different. The housing was the same, and I looked this up, the part number was the same from 2000 at least to 2004. I don't know what years are interchangeable, but I did look that up. So anyway, I know that this was the same. So, but I had to use the pieces from inside the one that was broke, because I didn't hurt the inside pieces. This is the new one. Well, the used one, but it's the one that came out of this thing originally. Anyway, long story short, I ended up reusing that, the guts, because the axle was different, the engager was different. So there is differences from years to years. And like I said, I don't have the video out on this for me. Of course, I didn't have a video of it breaking it, but I had a video of it, me working on replacing those parts, because I said, well, since I wasn't planning on really doing anything, I was going to slide this thing up and put it together, and then it ended up not doing that, just because of that didn't work, and I didn't want to drop the entire axle. I still ended up having to loosen a bunch of everything up and dropping it, but since I had to replace that, I ended up having to replace the rear, the outside seal, which was smart, since we were already in it anyway. Had to pull the axle out, so it was a different axle. I just went ahead and replaced the deal. So anyway, I'm going to just tighten this up and snap that back in, and then take a look at it here in a minute. Alright, let's see if the four-wheel drive works now. Let's go 4 high, it doesn't make any difference. But looky there. I like it. Boy, they like doing that noise, don't they? But it's going in now. Don't. Man, I wish they wouldn't do that. I don't know why. My pickup don't do that hardly. It makes a little bit of sound, but not that much. Yeah. Anyway, looks like we fixed it. I got nothing there, and then nothing there. Of course, I won't know until it snows or whatever. But I really wish that I could give you a definite, this is what you need to replace, this is what needs, this is definitely what's wrong with it. when it says service 4-wheel drive, there could be 2 or 3 things wrong with it, but the way I'm understanding it, there's still 3 or 4 things it could be. So I don't know where to tell you to start, because each one of those things are not super expensive, but you're talking something that's $70 to $100 a piece on the actual actuator on the transfer case, and then that front axle piece is like 70 bucks. These things are pretty cheap, these buttons here. But this module, it was like 100 and can't remember what it was through Rock Auto. It was 100 and some dollars, I can't remember, and it was a reman, but they wanted like a 250 core. I mean, you were talking 350 bucks or something like that just to get one to you. And I would suggest looking around, even on eBay or, you know, Marketplace, somebody that's stripping. I don't think the all-wheel drives have these. I'm gonna look up, because no, I know they don't, because I looked underneath that Escalade dash to see if it had one of these, and it doesn't, because it was all-wheel drive. So it has to be four-wheel drive, and I bet you it has to be push-button four-wheel drive, not the one that's got the floor shifter. Don't quote me on that, but I bet you it has to be the push-button four-wheel drive. So anyway, I'm going to hang on to this because this did work, and this will likely work on my pickup. It'll work in several other vehicles, so I'm going to hang on to this. I'm glad I kept it. And from now on, any of the ones I've stripped, you know, I've kept a lot of the electronic components, probably never to use them, but I did not realize how much these stupid things cost to replace. So I didn't check. Did I check AutoZone? I don't remember now. It doesn't make any difference. This is what it is. So I got four-wheel drive at least. That's one thing that I've been wanting to get fixed for quite a while. It cost me a lot of money to fix it, to be honest with you, because pretty much by the time everything was said and done, I replaced pretty much everything and didn't need to replace it. But I didn't replace that actuator on the transfer case. I can send that back. It was $93 some change on eBay. I may keep it. It will not work on my pickup. It has to be an 03 or newer. But I got a lot of friends that still drive those you know, these years, like this Avalanche. It's an 04. So I don't know. We'll see. But I'm definitely hanging on to some of these components. So anyway, that's one problem fixed. The AC belt, I pulled it off. The idler is a little deformed, although it's steel. I'm talking about the actual pulley part of it, not the bracket. Because AC doesn't work anyway, and it's so close to Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's just not worth putting the time in. It says I have to get back underneath and replace the compressor anyway, so I just pulled the belt on it. That's not why I like to do things, but right now it's just not. I just spent $135 on a new battery charger because mine was junk. It quit when I was working on that Cobalt. Come here, let me shut this thing off. Get out. And it shocked me for no reason. What I did was I've always had I had someone give me one years ago, and it finally quit. Let me close the garage door. It finally quit, and then I had another smaller one. I got it for my it was my wife's grandmother had a car. It was constantly eating batteries when it got cold. So I bought that thing. I don't know where I got it, Orscheln's or somewhere. It doesn't make a difference. I've replaced the ends on it 20 times. They just are junk. The wire is crap, and I do not recommend whatever that brand was. I don't know what it is. I'm not even gonna look. It's not worth it. I am not obviously supported by anybody, especially, you know, not sponsored by AutoZone or anybody like that, or Duralast or whatever it is. But I usually get a discount on everything I buy if the right people are there. The right people were here that day or yet today, but they were not the people I needed to talk to. It was 30 bucks off. Things usually like 160. I picked it up for like 130, and they give me a little bit of a discount still, the lady did, and I got it for like 131 and some change. I don't know if it's, you know, worth anything, but it's got to be worth more than one that doesn't work at all. So I figure, you know, I can always take this back. I've already charged that junk start, never start, whatever that Walmart battery is. It was only 2 years old. 15, 16, 17. It's 3 years old. But it seemed to, I wouldn't say it didn't hold a full charge, but I wasn't able to charge it all the way. And if you let it set Well, it was dead when I got it, so I don't know how long it sat. It was in that other Cobalt that I stripped. I pulled it out, wanted the right battery for it anyway. The Cobalt has to have a vent drain little deal because it goes up because it's in the trunk, and this didn't have it anyway, so I couldn't put it in the other car. I put a charge on it for, I think it was right at an hour, and it's still holding over 12.5, like 12.3 volts. Now, obviously, I need to take it to like AutoZone and have them put it actually on a tester. But what I'll do is I'll leave it sitting here in the garage and just test it every few days just to see if it's holding a charge. This one here was in that white GMC pickup I bought. I can't tell if there's a date on it. They've marked out like something of 7, so I assume it was 2007, so I'm assuming the battery is over 10 years old. Don't quote me on that, I do not know. But it could be 17, but I figured the 1 would be gone also. But in this case it's not, so it doesn't really make any difference. I assume it's junk. It would not take a charge to begin with. It was showing nothing. I tried to put it on the 200 amp engine start and it didn't make any difference, so I just stuck it on 40 for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and it's been on about 30 minutes now or so, and it's actually picked up and it's charging pretty hard. So whether it comes back or not, I'm going with doubt it, and I really don't need it. It was just it would be nice to have it in that truck where I can start and move it instead of having my Optima battery in it that I need periodically for my trailer winch and stuff. I mean, I could use that other one for that because I really don't have a use for it, but it doesn't have a carrying handle on it, which makes it kind of inconvenient. And so I don't know. We'll see what this does. I have a huge battery. 3 of 17 is a date on it. It's underneath that. You see it there. That's one out of the BMW, and it's a new one, and it's huge. It's like a tractor battery. They're in the trunk of those 7 Series. That's how big that battery is. Where am I at? I can't see nothing. It's underneath there. Anyway, the thing is huge. It will only fit tractors and stuff, and they go in the trunk. I thought my battery was bad. I don't know what happened. It just, for some reason, when it got cold, didn't want to start. The BMW, I actually quit driving it. I took it over to the shop and parked it. Took the battery loose. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I wanted to pull that motor out, put a timing chain set and stuff, and then put it in that silver BMW. But it's gotten harder and harder to start. The starter's starting to sound like it's going bad. The heater doesn't work worth a crap. The air conditioner's mediocre. The front end has been going out since I got it. It's progressively getting a little bit worse. Not that I drive it that far. It's only to and from work. But it's getting to be kind of inconvenient. And the other day, I let it set about 4 days, and I went to go start it. It cranked over slow. It did start, and then it died. And I restarted it and puffed a pretty good back of blue smoke. And before I tear the motor up, I think I'll just let it set, and I'll go over and start it periodically, and then I'll drive it around a little bit. It's still legal. I just it's winter time. The heater doesn't work real good. My Malibu, the heater works really good in, but it doesn't have a defrost because I have air conditioning, so that makes it kind of inconvenient too. I carry a towel in there, to kind of wipe the windshield off every once in a while. But I've been driving the Avalanche quite a bit, but eventually that's going to have to stop. So I'm going to have to get something to drive. I really hate driving my pickup all the time, but it's sitting outside anyway. I might as well drive it. I don't know. The joys of owning a lot of cars, and none of them really worth a crap, it seems like. So it's kind of how it works. They all, pretty much all my stuff runs and drives. Is just they all have their little things, and that's the disadvantage of owning a lot of them, is that you constantly have to do maintenance and upkeep on one and or more. One of them's out of gas, one of them needs tires, one of them needs brakes, one of them's not running right. There's, this one the heater doesn't work in, this one the lights always blow a fuse. There's always something, and my dad said it good here when he was here the other day. He says, you've got the money, you've got the space, you've got the time. Why are you messing with so many of them at once? Why don't you get rid of 4 or 5 of them and just get on one and do it right? And he's absolutely right. I really need to just focus on one thing, but doggone it, when I'm going through that Facebook marketplace and there's all kinds of stuff for sale. Somebody has a 56 Nomad for $3,200 here, and it's like, I gotta have it, and it's like, it's a 56 Nomad. It's a 2-door 56 wagon. No, 56 is not my favorite year. But it's a Nomad, and it's like, why am I not buying it? It's because I don't have the money, because guess what? I'm putting it in all my other junk. I can't believe I'm rattling about this. But anyway, we're going to get out of here. I had somebody ask me the other day where the 65 Mustang is. I kind of made a video on that. I don't know if I got it out or not. It's over at mother-in-law's house. She's got a climate control garage. Well, it's heated anyway. And so it's sitting in there, and because she's got 2-car garage, she don't need 2-car garage. So, you know, I'm using her garage. And so it's safe. And that's actually where it was sitting the 20 years prior to me buying it. It was sitting over there in that same spot. So it's not like it's in danger or anything like that. So she's got an alarm system in her house like I do. And of course I got one in the garage. You can't see it back here in the corners, a motion camera and some other stuff here and there. And we keep, you know, we keep stuff as safe as we can possibly keep it safe. But anyway, I want to get out of here now. I'm kind of rattled enough. Got a little bit of space here in the garage. I've been working on stuff a little bit here at a time. It was easier to move a car over to my mother-in-law's house so I could get over here. And if I needed to work on something, or it was going to snow, I could put my wife's car in here, you know, or whatever, and make it to where, you know, it's more user-friendly, I guess is where I'm going with that. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here, and we'll get on another video pretty soon.